Welcome back to Trucker Reacts, back with another video. I was looking through some trucking news today. Happened to come across this article from Freight Waves, and I don't know what to think about it. I always wondered about if a DOT officer can, when you're on your break, you got your curtains closed, you're at a rest area or something, and they knock on your door and do a DOT inspection. Can they legally do that? Do you have to? I know you have to go on duty when they start the inspection. So how does that mess with your break? They can put you behind to get your load delivered late or whatever. But according to this article, they can do it. So I don't know. The article talks about that, and it talks about why they do it, why would they do it, and then at the end, I think it's just a giant commercial for one of the truck parking companies. I don't know. Let's look at it. Let's go over it. We'll talk about it, and I want to know what y'all think at the end. Commercial vehicle inspections and your rights as a driver. The legal rights drivers have when it comes to roadside inspections, and the answer isn't what most drivers want to hear. Here's a question I get asked more than you think. Can law enforcement really knock on my sleeper berth door and demand an inspection while I'm on my mandatory 10-hour break? The short answer is yes. The longer answer explains why, and it's a legal reality that's been settled for decades. I get it. You've been running hard. You finally pull into your rest area to grab some sleep, and suddenly there's a badge at your window. Your gut reaction is you think this violates your constitutional rights. After all, that sleeper berth is your home while you're over the road. That's right. You need to realize that when you climb behind the wheel of a commercial motor vehicle, you enter what the Supreme Court calls a closely regulated industry. That designation fundamentally changes how the Fourth Amendment applies to you. This is going to be good, I believe. The Berger decision changed everything. Back in 1987, the Supreme Court handed down a ruling in New York versus Berger that still defines inspection rights for anyone operating in heavily regulated industries. The case involved a junkyard owner who objected to warrantless police inspections, but the principle they established reaches far beyond auto salvage. The court created a three-pronged test that allows warrantless administrative inspections. There must be a substantial government interest. The inspections must be necessary to further the regulatory scheme, and the authorizing statute must provide adequate notice of what's being regulated and limit inspection discretion. Commercial trucking checks all three boxes. Highway safety is a matter of overwhelming public interest. Random roadside inspections are essential to making safety regulations actually work. Title 49 of the Code of Federal Regulations clearly defines what can be inspected and who can do it. Practical effect: you accepted reduced Fourth Amendment protections the moment you got your CDL and started driving commercially on public roadways. Let me think about that for a minute. I don't ever remember signing anything, checking any boxes, or anything like that that said my Fourth Amendment was reduced when I got my CDL. I must have missed that. What an operation actually means. Here's where many drivers get tripped up. Under 49 CFR 396.9, authorized personnel can inspect commercial motor vehicles in operation. Most drivers read that and assume it means vehicles actively moving down the highway. Wrong. In operation includes vehicles parked at rest stops, sitting at way stations, pulled over on highway shoulders, and stopped at truck stops that are open to public access. Truck stops, yes, they are public access, but they are still private property with public access. I don't know about this one. If your rig is on public property or publicly accessible property, you're subject to inspection. Does the state DOT maintain that rest area? That's public property, yes. The interstate shoulder, public property, yes. The truck stop that anyone could pull into off the exit ramps, no. Also fair game unless it's specifically gated or signed as private. Even then, they could get a warrant. Yes, well, of course, they have to get a warrant. The key distinction is public accessibility, not whether your wheels are turning. The CVS policy everyone cites but doesn't understand. Drivers love to point to CVSA operational policies 13 and 15 as a shield. They cannot wake me up during my rest break is something I hear constantly. CVSA guidance states that certified inspectors should not. All right, let me go back. CVSA guidance states that certified inspectors should not disturb or interrupt a driver who's in off duty or sleeper berth status for a random inspection, provided the vehicle is legally parked. Notice the operative word there, should not. That's guidance to inspectors, not a prohibition. It's not the law. It is not a regulation. It's an operational policy designed to prevent drivers from being forced into HOS violations by requiring them to go on duty for an inspection during their mandatory rest period. So I guess it says they should not, but you got the gung ho inspectors that do it anyway. More importantly, there's a giant exception. Inspectors can absolutely wake you and require compliance if there's an immediate safety concern. Leaking fuel, a visibly flat tire, and your rig parked in a way that creates a hazard, I'll give an officer legal grounds to interrupt your break. Now, I can see if they're leaking fuel or if they're parked in a way that creates a hazard, interrupt your break and go move, park somewhere else. The visibly flat tire, maybe he's parked on his shoulder. It's going to be a while, or off ramp or something. It's going to be a while before he gets that tire fixed. So he's went ahead and started taking his break. I don't get this flat tire thing. If you're parked illegally on a ramp in a non-truck parking area or anywhere that's not a designated commercial vehicle spot, you surrendered whatever protection that CVSA policy might have provided. So, if you park legally in a rest area, they're still going to knock on your door, even though they probably should not. You're going to give your DOT inspection anyway, interrupt your break. The reality. What should you do when an officer knocks during your break? Don't answer the door. Don't open the curtains. Why? Just sleep right through it. First, comply. Fighting a DOT inspection on constitutional grounds at the roadside isn't going to work out for you. The case law is settled. The regulatory framework is clear. You're going to lose that argument and you're going to make your life harder in the process. Hmm. Well, they say you shouldn't fight on the roadside, you fight in the courtroom, but uh, I don't know. This article is crazy. Second, document everything. Yeah, turn your cameras on. I used to film all my DOT inspections. I got a couple on my channel. Go check them out. The moment an officer requires you to assist with an inspection While you're on your 10-hour break, you move to on duty, non driving status. Log it that way. Note in your LED remarks that the status change was due to a mandatory DOT inspection. If you broke your 10-hour break, you're going to have to start all over again as soon as he's done inspecting. Get a copy of the inspection report. Record the officer's badge number, name. He left out name, but I'm saying name, badge number, and what agency they belong to. That documentation is your defense if you end up with HOS violations because the inspection interrupted your restart or broke your consecutive rest period. It's also your carrier's defense when explaining delays to customers. Third, know the difference between legal authority and departmental policy. Officers have broad legal authority to conduct inspections. Whether they should interrupt your rest for a random inspection is a different question. And that's where the CVSA policy comes into play. If an officer interrupts your mandated rest without an articulated safety concern, that's worth documenting. Yes, it is. It might not help you at the roadside, but it provides context for any subsequent proceedings. The Fourth Amendment protects Americans, including truck drivers, from unreasonable searches and seizures. But unreasonable doesn't mean the same thing for commercial vehicle operators that it means for someone driving their personal vehicle to the grocery store. When the Supreme Court looked at industries with extensive government oversight, it recognized that operators in those industries have a diminished expectation of privacy. Trucking sits squarely in that category. The feds have been regulating commercial vehicle operations since the Motor Carrier Act of 1935. That's 90 years of continuous government oversight. You didn't give up all your rights when you got your CDL, but you did accept that maintaining highway safety for the general public takes precedence over your expectation of being left alone at the rest area. This is that guy's advice. I wrote this article. My advice: park legally. I give him that. Document interactions. Yes. Film all interactions with law enforcement. Maintain your equipment. That's very important. And keep your paperwork in order. That's also important. I agree with all those. The inspection you're worried about becomes a lot less stressful when you're running compliance. If there was ever a fantastic argument for paid parking, here we go. It is the protections that gated signed private property offers through parking locations provided by vendors like Truck Parking Club. I think this whole article was a giant ad for Truck Parking Club. I don't know. What do y'all think about that article? I'm kind of mixed. Some of the stuff I don't understand. I don't believe it's true, but who knows? Let's see. Let's read. There's three comments down here. Some readers that left. Let's check them out. From Frank's Gump 5. He says, let's get something straight. The commercial vehicle and endorsement doesn't end your constitutional rights. True. You are full of it and trying to sugarcoat BS. If you are in sleeper berth, they have absolutely no authority to knock on your door to wake you up on your 10 rest period or being off duty. None, period. When that 10-hour period is up, they are more than welcome to try to inspect you once you are on duty. He also says you need your head examined for even try to propagandize such an idea. That's funny. Well, here's one from Hillbilly Deluxe. He says, this is a problem. The vast majority of CDL holders is so completely ignorant to what our rights are and are not. The government wants it this way, and it's partially why we have the issues of foreign, non English speaking, non domiciled, and usually illegal aliens operating CMVs. Go to school and you are taught the very bare minimum to get you hauling freight down the road. Most of it tries to scare new drivers into blind compliance. These dirty, unscrupulous DOT troopers are taught in depth the intricacies of all the rules and regs and how exactly the wording works for them and against us. Me, I question and something every single thing an officer says. They are trained to lie to us and treat us like a lesser person, the enemy. When you catch them in a lie, they get very defensive and outright, whatever he put there, nasty. I'll just say nasty. Just like any bully, stand up for yourself and they will move to easier targets. This is from, next comments from Sean Miner. Sean Miner says, pretty much sounds like a drawn out commercial for Truck Parking Club to me. That's what I was thinking. However, there is one thing in there that I seriously do agree with. They, meaning authority having jurisdiction, absolutely can wake you up and tell you to move. Yeah. If you parked illegally or in a dangerous situation, yeah. If you park legally in a rest area or a truck stop or something, I don't know. Bottom line, it seems like the other operators out here on the highway feel like they have been given a right to operate recklessly because what they have someone else needs, therefore maybe installing a little entitlement to their actions, forgetting it's a privilege to be able to drive in the USA, not a right to drive. I saw a lot of arguments posted in here that if those drivers that wrote them honestly believe the sewage they are pouring out of their brain and onto this site, then they are no better than the illegal foreigners that are in this industry, and they too should have their license removed. So there you have it. There you have it. We are back up here, back in the studio. Yeah, what do y'all think about that? It's kind of like I said, I'm kind of mixed. I understand safety. Then again, I'm a big Fourth Amendment guy, Fifth Amendment guy, First Amendment guy, Second Amendment guy. All the amendments are very important. And I don't remember giving up my Fourth Amendment right when I got my CDL. I sure don't. Must have missed the paperwork. Maybe I called out sick that day or something else. I don't know. So let me know. Let me know what y'all think about the situation down in the comment section. So I appreciate everybody watching. Everybody have a good day and stay safe.